people in the UK, in the European Union, all around the world, do not forget about what is happening in Ukraine. Because they are bombing our houses, they are aiming our civil objects. Believe me, when I saying that it's 90-39, it's the truth.
Welcome back to the Real Normal podcast. We continue our slight departure from the usual schedule of what we do on this podcast to talk again with Tanya Shelepko in Ukraine. If you'd listened last week, you'd know that Tanya had fled the city 100 kilometres south and had told us that she didn't feel right leaving Kyiv and that her friends are there in the theatre that she works at and is also her passion, and that she planned to return to Kyiv over the next few days. In this podcast, we're going to find out what that journey was like. We're going to find out what life is like in the bunker underneath the theatre in the centre of Kyiv. We're going to meet her colleagues Alex and Bogdan, and we're going to get to know each other a little bit more as well. Well, let's get started then, Tanya, if you like. So, hello, Tanya. How are you doing? You okay?
Hello, James. I'm fine. Thanks.
Good. When we last spoke, you weren't in Kyiv. You said to us at the end of the podcast that you were going to be making your way back into the city, or you were going to try to. Well, firstly, tell us why did you decide to go?
Okay, I was not far from Kyiv. As I was saying, it's 100 kilometers away from Kyiv, and we've been there for, I guess, 5 days, 4 nights and 5 days in general, and we've found the way to somehow work, to talk to people, to give interviews, and I was mostly working on voiceovers for the English-speaking version of our news. So they go firsthand to those who used to live in Ukraine and know this channel, for example. So I was doing that, translations and stuff, but there was this feeling that you are not in your place. And when you have this feeling in your life, when you think I'm not where I should be right now, you just stand up and go. And we had discussions with friends, because it had to be a common decision. We had discussions for 3 days out of those 5 that we have to come back and we have to plan everything properly so we come back normally. And one evening we just made a strong decision, because that's not about a plan. You can't plan anything now. It's about whether everybody's strong in their decision at this moment, and we just go. So we went and we agreed, we were talking about it a lot, and we agreed that first it's good for our psychological health, because you sit somewhere not at home and you just worry and you can't do anything really. When we came back, the feeling was amazing. It's like coming back home. And another thing, I was really afraid that I come back to Kyiv and it's not as I remember it anymore. It doesn't look like that. And I was really scared of that feeling. It's like you have relationships with a person and then crisis comes and you run away. But if you survive it together, then you are stronger as a group of people, as the whole people, the whole nation. So I guess it's important to survive it together.
What was the journey back like?
It was good. It was good to move, not to stay in one place. And I'm not sure now what's going to happen later, but I think that it might be that we will travel a little bit more. because my job is all about traveling all the time. I travel to every city in Ukraine except for Donetsk because it was occupied. And I've been to Luhansk before it was occupied. So I've traveled everywhere and I'm used to traveling. So journey is always good. It was scary, of course, because there were many checkpoints, loads of checkpoints with armored people, with very prepared people who stop every single car, check the documents, ask the password. There is a word that Russians cannot pronounce.
Is it a special type of Ukrainian bread?
Yes.
I think in Ukrainian, all I can say is Dobry den and Dziękuję, and that's about it, I think. There we go. I've started.
I would definitely understand that you're a British person if you say that this
What,
way.
really? I always thought my pronunciation was quite good.
It is good. It's understandable, but it's British.
So that you were saying there were a lot of checkpoints along the way.
Everywhere. And on every road, especially the closer to Kyiv, the more of them are there, and the more difficult it is to pass them.
You alluded to you were worried about Kyiv being somewhat different from how you left it a week ago. What have you noticed that is different?
No. I was afraid not about that. I was afraid of coming back to Kyiv when it's all over and seeing it different. As of now, I don't see very strong difference because when we came back, I wanted to go home to take some clothes. I finally got my facial, which I was mentioning last time.
I was going to ask you, did you get your cream?
Yes. I took a few things with me. I took my clothes a little bit more for the guys here who cannot go home. I don't really remember. I took some stuff. I took a lot of food, some warm things like blankets. I took a pillow, so I feel quite comfortable with sleeping on the wooden pallets we use for the seats when we have the stage, and the seats we put the chairs on the pallets. So I sleep on those. And I wanted to take my books very much. I have a wonderful collection of Harold Pinter, which I went in English. Yeah, I want to take it very much, and maybe I will come back once again and take a few rare books that I have there. But when we were coming up to my home, I saw a bus that was like, it had more holes from bullets in it than I could even imagine. There was a bus completely shot on any angle, and it was a little bit scary to see that. But what else can I do? But keep on moving. It is different, of course. Kyiv is empty, and in some districts I saw the territory defense guys packing someone into the car, covering this person with tape on the eyes because there are too many cases of treason. What's the word?
Treason or sabotage.
Treason. Yeah. So, and it's strict now because, well, it costs lives.
You mentioned that. Obviously, there is quite a large Russian-speaking population, I imagine, or Russians themselves in Ukraine. It's not actually on my list of questions, this. What is the feeling of Ukrainians at the moment towards Russians who've lived with you in the country for years and years?
I come from a Russian-speaking family, and before the 9th grade at school, I didn't speak Ukrainian. I still speak Russian with my father. I guess he doesn't even know how to speak Ukrainian. It's not about nationality, it's about the spirit, the spirit of this Russian world that is imperialistic, that supports invasions, and so on. I noticed 2 days ago that I was so angry with anything Russian. I know this is a destructive feeling, but I was just discussing with one of my friends yesterday that this sympathy to anything humane in a Russian person Hey, come up. Anything human in.
At this point, Alex joined us in our conversation. I think it's worth noting that the guys in the bunker and at the theatre are connected with different theatres around the world, and therefore they are communicating with different theatres around the world to get their message out, to get the message out of their survival and what they think about what is going on in their country. And if you want to follow them, you can follow them on Instagram. I'll tell you their details at the end of the podcast. Plus, I'll leave a link to their Instagram and their Patreon page in the show notes below. Also, I'll take the opportunity of this mini break to ask you to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes if possible, and also to tell your friends, family, anyone you think will be interested in this podcast to check it out, share it, click that share button, guys. Let's get Tanya and Alex's and later on Bogdan's message out there. We've just been joined by Alex. I'm not going to try and say your surname, Alex, because my Ukrainian's not very good. So I won't.
It's pretty much like Zelensky. It's Borovenskiy, so it's like Zelensky pretty much.
Okay, so we're with Alex Borovenskiy. Yes, I can say something in Ukrainian. Apparently my Jakuyem is very English, so I'm told. But there you go. Yeah, so we're being joined by Alex at the moment. And Tanya. So we've got both of you on the line, which is really exciting. Do you want to finish off the point you were making about what you were reading and everything before I interrupted you?
Yeah, right. So I caught myself on the thought that I am not amused by anything Russian in my life, like the literature, music, even Russian language was annoying me a lot. But there are waves, like it comes and then it goes away. And I think it's not about that. It's about the Putin's way of thinking and working in this country. I think that this denial is normal at the moment and that it will last for a while and that it's not bad.
I don't know if you know this, Tanya, but Alex and I have been chatting on Instagram as well, outside of everything. I think it might have been the evening that you were travelling down to Kyiv. Alex said that it was a lovely message that you sent, Alex. You said that you missed Tanya terribly and you really want to see her again. So when she came back to the theatre, what was your meeting like?
Well, I mean, it was a lot of hugs and these things, because Tanya is the spirit of the theater. So I am the head, she's the spirit, so like family back together. And plus she really brings the vibe of vigor here. And that's what we needed at that moment, because everybody felt kind of down and Tanya came and everything like, whoo, and that's what we need here. She made a library yesterday. She arranged the books. You can see. You might want to see it.
Okay, let's have a quick look. Is there lots of Harold Pinter?
No, but I hope I will bring it back home.
That's the library.
For the listeners that can't see, Alex and Tanya are showing us a row of about 4 or 5 shelves with about 30 or 40 books, nicely arranged and spaced out so you can see your cover and make your choice. Oh, brilliant.
Rearranged because the books are important.
That's the library out of books that were here in the theater, and I hope to get more books if I go home, because as I told you at the first podcast that my house is next to the airfield, and most probably it will be bombed, the airfield, and most probably the house will be bombed. So I'll get the books out of there.
Okay, quickly as well, Tanya, are you still with your sister, or did she stay south of Kyiv?
She went home. She went to our parents in the Western Ukraine.
Okay. Well, shall we talk a little bit about life in the theatre? And I'll leave. Do you guys just want to sort of share who answers? We can have some of the head and some of the spirit, if you want, of the theatre. How many people are down there at the moment?
Right now, it's much less than it used to be. We started with like 30, because when the day one, just local people started to come to us and say, ooh, that's a bomb shelter. Can we stay with you? I'm like, sure, we actually the theater, but we're in the basement, so you can stay with us. So it was pretty packed and crowded, and the snoring was unbearable, because we all stayed in the performance area called Hollywood Room, and people snore, me including. I snore a lot. So I was worse than bombs, actually.
Tanya's nodding, everyone, just so you know.
Yeah. But then people started like a couple of days ago, some families started to leave even more. And a couple of families with kids left the town because like rumor has it that it's gonna get much tougher in Kyiv soon. So the families with kids have left, and now we have like 15 people, I guess, something like that. Hard to say. Many of them are volunteers, so they go out in town, help with whatever they can. They come to spend the night, these things. But I think like 15, something like that.
What is it like going around Kyiv at the moment?
It's cold. The weather is not good. It's okay. This small talks about the weather.
Talk.
I was going to say that is the most English thing you can do, is talk about the weather. That's what we all talk about.
That's what I was implying.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, it's cold. Yesterday it was even a little bit snowy. I can say that as of now it's quite calm because there are no traffic jams at all. Like no traffic jams in the places where we are used to these traffic jams, but there are traffic jams like out of Kyiv. Inside, it's nice, but also all the roads, all the routes are blocked somehow. So if you don't know the city and you come to this city, use Google Maps, you will not be able to get anywhere because all the routes are changed.
And that's our message to Russian tanks. You cannot get into Kyiv city, even with Google Maps, because all the routes have changed.
And you've taken down all the signposts as well, haven't you?
Lots of routes are blocked with, how do they call them? Anti-tank hedgehogs.
Yeah, hedgehogs.
So it would be really difficult to get through the city if you have a very big vehicle.
Okay, what are you doing for water and food and stuff like that? For our listeners, Alex has produced a massive Kilner jar.
That's a jar of honey. That's what we're doing. Honey.
Alex is holding up a jar here. I thought it was wee. Someone likes a lot of honey. That looks amazing.
Yeah. Well, we brought whatever we have. We got a lot of canned stuff, like canned meat and everything. We got a lot of what you call cereals and everything, because that's going to last. We used to have potatoes. We're running out. So if you guys can send us some potatoes, that would be lovely. Also, I heard they are bringing some from Belarus, that's famous for potatoes. So we expect a lot of these Belarusian potatoes coming soon.
He's making jokes.
I was going to say, do Ukrainians I don't know how you say it, do Ukrainians look down on Belarusians?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
No. As of now, we just don't want to look at them. But in general, there are great people there. But still, it's a very different worldview, and they have always been way too friendly with Russians. Ukrainians are more independent and tend to be country that is looking forward into the future. Belarus is a little bit, from those who I spoke to, they tend to get stuck a little bit. And for example, in 2014, we had a revolution, and our revolution was about the whole course of the country, which is Euro integration. And if we're thinking about Belarus' recent revolution, it wasn't about the whole country. It was just about taking down Lukashenko and putting someone else who still speaks Russian and who is more liberal, but it's still not away from Russia and going to Europe. It's about very internal thing. So they are not so directed to the whole world and to democracy as it is. That's my impression, subjective impression. So I can't say that this is about all of them, but the majority for sure.
And also I can say that a couple of months ago, when this repressions in Belarus started and the election of Lukashenko got ousted, the most liberal people, lots of them escaped from Belarus. And I've seen lots of actors, directors, theater critics coming to Kyiv. I met them personally. Some of them even started the theatrical projects here, and my friends, Ukrainian actors, participate in it together with Belarusian guys. So I'd say the best guys have fled before it all started. And the guys who stayed in Belarus, that's why we have what we have.
When I was in Kiev, I definitely felt there was a sense of your history You know, you have a sense of your history, your past, much more than say, I mean, you know, Kyiv's older than Moscow.
Wait, wasn't Kyiv invented by Lenin? No?
Oh, come on.
Isn't what Putin
That's
says?
not funny.
Let's not say that.
Funny at all. I can. I don't know whether you heard about it, but Russians published a little book of history of Ukraine, which starts in 1917. They published.
That's why the joke. That's why the joke.
No, they published it for the teachers of history who are now working at schools, and they have an instruction how to talk to ninth grade students and how to talk to 11th grade students. So it's actually instruction how to lie to kids and how to make these kids think that here in Ukraine we have neo-fascist movement, and that this movement has to be destroyed. So they teach these days, teachers of history use this thing, and it's made on PowerPoint slides which are not even licensed. And it's a government thing, like it's signed by the government to teach students this bullshit. Not critical thinking, not the social responsibilities, nothing like that, nothing like the things we are now having in the whole education in the world. They teach how to hate Ukrainians, how to talk about this as a freeing operation, not invasion, not even a conflict. And if you read, I read the whole thing, and it's this thick book.
I just want to know very quickly as well, a bit more about in the theatre itself, water. How are you doing for water? Have you made provisions for water, and if it, you know, if it maybe stops happening?
Luckily, Kyiv operates pretty effectively, and we got this wonderful machine just outside in our yard that clears the water. So all you have to do is insert some coins and grivnas and you get the water. And these guys recently, they took away the restrictions, so it's all for free. But these guys, being Ukrainians, also put a sign on this machine and it says it doesn't work. So the reason for this is that they don't have the capacity to change the filters. And as soon as the filters go away, we will not have access to purified water. So they want to just, limit the access. But actually the sign that says it doesn't function, well, it's a wrong sign. It functions.
Okay. And do those filters work independently all over the city?
Depends. It's kind of private company that purifies the water and stuff. In some areas, they deliver bottled water. In some areas, people drink tap water. Luckily, tap water still works and operates in Kyiv. Well, depends. Really depends on the situation.
Also, there are volunteers who bring water around the city for those who don't have it at all, like the bottled one. For now, we have water in taps in Kyiv, but I have friends from another theater in Kharkiv who already left Kharkiv, and for 3 days they didn't have water, they didn't have heating, they didn't have gas. They were in the basement under the shelling and non-stop shelling. They managed to escape, at least 2 of them. I know exactly that they managed to escape. And they said that they were also volunteering because the guys brought them food. They were cooking it somehow. They brought them water. They were bottling it in smaller bottles and giving it back to these volunteers to bring to places where it's needed. So
again, just proving Ukrainians pulling together as well and helping each other. I mean, what are the updates like for you guys in the theatre? Is there still state-run news broadcasts about the current progress of the war, or do you find most of your information from online, social media and foreign news agencies?
Foreign media is faster, and everybody's kind of like, when you don't do anything else, you just stay there and you scroll. Just scroll like this. Everybody and people wake up and the first question they ask, what's the news? And we started developing this interesting thing. We didn't have it for the past couple of days. We started listening to Zelensky messages together. Like, he gets this message, we all sit around the table, we put it out loud and we'll listen and watch. And, we're like, yay. And we speak together with him. When he says glory to Ukraine, we say Geroyam Slava. And, that's very interesting. We never had it before. Foreign news also, but they kind of like here it's faster. I guess the information is faster, which is also much more dangerous because there is a lot of fake information. Disinformation is coming or people just start panicking. So you have to filter.
And if we talk about national TV, all they do these days is filtering this information appearing everywhere, and they put it all together. So that's a very important source for those who don't use internet very much or who don't use social media very much. I also watch BBC, and BBC covers the situation really fast and really well. I was trying to browse through Associated Press, Reuters, and The Guardian and the Times, but it's difficult to compare all of them because anyways they take information from Ukrainian media mostly because it's really scary to send their journalists here.
What I've been doing is I've used Twitter quite a lot, and there's a lot of Ukrainian journalists who are on the ground in Ukraine. Do you get a lot of word of mouth as well? Do you have a lot of people coming in saying this is happening, that's happened, or anything? Or are you now quite isolated?
No, there's a lady here who's volunteering a lot, and she comes back and tells a lot of stories. Yesterday, my friends took me to shop. We went shopping together. And as I told you when I was coming back, it's the third day I'm here. So we see things, not all of us, but we come out, we're trying to
That's explosion.
Yeah.
That was my next question, was going to be, are you hearing any of the fighting?
Right. Yeah, we are. And it's like we're in a basement, which means that if we hear it on the outside, it's much stronger.
So closer.
Yeah. Starting from yesterday, it's like every few minutes it's there. So the worst thing is that we kind of getting used to it. We don't get too scared. I don't think you can get used to it. But we don't get too scared. Somebody said, if you hear the explosion, that it means that it's not you who exploded.
That is true.
Yeah, and talking about this word of the mouth, we start calling people much more than we used to, the friends, the relatives, the people you just met. You just want to find out that they are okay. Like yesterday, I called my accountant and she cannot really talk because she's in a small town under Kyiv. She's under siege and they can't leave the basement. They've been there for 3 days. She still can talk. She has some electricity, but they cannot leave the town. And I don't call my accountant that often, once a month.
I don't think anyone does.
Yes, but now I started calling people that I speak rarely just to understand that they're okay. And this is the news, that the people see. That's not something wrote in Telegram or whatever. That's what people see with their eyes. So we're collecting this information from people we know.
Just say so the shelter did you say it was an old World War II shelter, Tanya? Did you say it was 19? No, that was the previous one you were staying in, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. In another city that was a shelter under a hospital now.
Is this a nicer shelter, the one you're in now, would you say?
This one is the theater, and that one is a basement of a hospital. It's like from a horror movie. They have this door,
Radiation door,
and it's actually a radiation bunker there, and it's really scary. But the problem is that there were a lot of people who are ill. The atmosphere.
But this one where we at is also that it also has the history, because it is the bomb shelter. It was written when we started renting this place in 2014, I guess. That has the big sign bomb shelter on the wall, which we painted over because we never knew that this thing would happen. And the rumor has it, the local neighbors, they came to me when this all happened and they say, do you guys know that this place during the World War II was the Gestapo place, where the fascist Gestapo was here in this very basement, and they used it for their location, which means that it's pretty safe because the Gestapo knows where to put, where to stay. So this place has a very strange history that we are now. Then it's a theater. Then it's a place for rescuing people. It's so strange.
Tanya, you look quite shocked there. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, wow. We've both learnt something today. I kind of want to ask what the feeling is in Ukraine now as a whole. Do you think the mood has changed in the last week? Is the country galvanized more now?
I don't think very much much of it changed. Like, we are confident that this is the war that can go only one way, with the victory of democracy, of civilized world.
Okay, I think this is going to be probably a difficult question. So if you don't want to answer it, or if you find it's too upsetting to think about, just please say, okay. What will you do if there's a full-scale attack? I mean, they're talking about encircling Kyiv in the next 3 or 4 days.
What do you mean by full-scale attack? How do you imagine it?
You mean nukes?
No, I mean, do you remember what the Russians did in Grozny?
Yeah.
Something like that, I imagine.
I was thinking about it yesterday, and first of all, I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible because Grozny is 5 times smaller than Kyiv. It will take them 2 weeks, and I don't believe that all of the world will sit and watch. Yeah, I believe they can do it, but I don't believe that everybody will sit and watch, Yeah, so I can't even imagine how it will be worked out, but I don't believe in full-scale attack. First, and second, yesterday I started thinking about plans, what to do in case I decide to leave, but not in case of the full-scale attack, because it's already full-scale attack.
Yeah, and if that happens, I believe that from my perspective, we would do what we were preparing to do for the 12 days. I mean, help the injured, help with the barricades, and fighting and protecting at least our little place, or on the bigger scale, our big town, big city. That's why we're here. That's why we're still here.
I don't know, that the last question I've got is really a hypothetical one. Like, if Russia does succeed in encircling Kyiv and there's some sort of, they do what they did in Belarus, for example, and put a pro-Russian government in or something like that. I love the way both your faces change, because you're like, that is never going to happen. Not under our watch. Your determination. But honestly, actually, I've really enjoyed speaking to both of you today, because Alex is a bit of a character, aren't you, Alex? He keeps making signs behind you, Tanya, every time we're talking.
That's my face. That's...
You're obviously a lovely guy. Really, really cool. I really want to come and see you. I mean, it's so annoying that when we were in Kyiv, we just didn't know about you, It would have been amazing to come to the theatre and everything. I think a lot of people in the West sometimes think that Kyiv is a bit sort of ex-Soviet and a bit edgy, but it's not. Like, when I came, I loved it. We stayed in a little place near, is it Bessarabia Market? Mm-hmm. We stayed near there, and it was just... It's just beautiful. More than anything, actually, I said, I just want to speak to someone who lives in Kyiv so I can sort of share with someone who I know how beautiful the city is and how lovely it is. And that's why it's been so sad to watch what's going on so far. I was going to ask you, do you think we should talk about what you do if Russia succeeds or not? How do you feel about that?
Russia will not succeed. That's it. How could you even think about such a question? Russia can succeed. It's like the evil will win. No.
Maybe it's the wrong word, succeed. Okay, somehow there's some sort of brokered peace, and Russia stay in Mariupol in the south. They stay in the Donbass and those areas.
I have a friend here. We were talking about it, and it's only we all think that it's only one-way war. There is no even in this war. Either they get out of here and change whatever they have to change internally and nobody touches them, or they take over Ukraine and then they take over half of the world. And that is impossible. No.
It is that simple. I mean, Europe is not going to lose. Europe's going to win. And by Europe, I mean what's happening here in Ukraine. If Europe loses, we might just as well all sail to the other continent. Straight from Portugal and Spain.
I don't even think that I will go anywhere, because if what you're talking about, they will stay in Mariupol, they've been in Donbass for 8 years. We were all sitting and waiting when they will come, because everybody was anxious in this 8 years, maybe even logically not understanding perfectly that this will happen, not believing, not wanting to believe, but we knew that it's just the beginning. It has to be destroyed. Like, I can't even imagine. It's like trying to imagine how aliens look. what you're saying. That imagining that this will happen, it's like imagining something that doesn't exist.
Have you seen any of the images coming out? What's going on?
Yeah.
That's my friend Bogdan.
Hey, Bogdan, how's it going? My name's James.
My name is Bogdan. Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I heard that you were talking about if Russia can win, but actually cannot. There is no variant of win for Russia. If they're trying to occupy Kyiv, they're trying to change our government, our president. Okay, let's imagine they will do this, and what they will do next. People in Kyiv will never recognize their politics, their president. If they will try to occupy Kyiv, they will need a lot of people, a lot of army to hold this place, to manage it some way. Where will they find it? And now we have situations that they are taking some cities, but it's still under control of Ukrainian government.
They put the flag up straight away, don't they?
Yeah, they can just occupy it. They don't understand what to do in this situation because in real, there are a lot of their soldiers in cities, but in fact, city is still Ukrainian. It's a very stupid situation.
They would just end up being attacked all the time.
Yeah, attacked or demonstrated against. Like Bogdan knows what he's talking about. He's really good in analytics of everything happening, and he's being really helpful with calming everybody down when the panic starts. Full-scale attack, and then Bogdan comes and says, "Here we go, 1, 2, 3."
So, Bogdan, did you hear my question to Tanya when you were not on camera? And did you hear it and go, hold on, I need to come and answer this question?
No, he was not going to take the answer, but he was walking around very emotional and like knowing what to say.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. That is the spirit that we've definitely seen on the news and everywhere here is exactly that. Okay, I think what we could do is maybe just kind of wrap up a bit because I think, we've been going for an hour. What we'll do what we did last time. We'll just sort of have a chat over WhatsApp and that. And I've got Alex as well on Instagram. So if we maybe look at talking again in a few weeks, do you think? Something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. After the victory, you mean?
We're going to win by then.
I believe in your victory. Is there any way that our listeners can help you? Is there any way that they can donate money to you, or is there any way they can help the theatre or Ukraine?
I sent you the Patreon link, and I guess that will be really helpful. And I can also send you, I think I did, the link, like if you're a foreigner, you want to help, you don't know how, there is instruction, how to help with humanitarian needs, how to help if you want to donate to the army. There is the whole list of things. But for future, for rebuilding everything, for reconstructing everything, we will need that help a lot. So I will send you all the links, and if you can place them under this podcast.
Yeah, I'll put them in the show notes.
Yeah. And I want to ask you, James, it's very important to people in the UK, in the European Union, all around the world, do not forget about what is happening in Ukraine. Because they are bombing our houses, they are aiming our civil objects. Believe me, when I saying that it's 90-39, it's the truth. They're doing the same thing. They was doing it in Syria, in Georgia, in Chechnya, and now they are doing this in Ukraine the same way. And if the world will forget about it, if the world will, I don't know, tired of news from Ukraine and stop to support Ukraine, it will be a big problem for us. I say this way. So I hope that people all around the world will not forget what is going on Ukraine till it stops. It's very important for us. If you can, please, I'm asking you, go on the cities, on your squares in your cities, talk to your politics as much as possible. Say that we need money, we need weapon, we need to close the sky over Ukraine. Please, I'm asking you very much. do not forget about what is going on in Ukraine. It's very important for us. Try to do what you do wherever you are. Please, I'm asking you. It's very, very important.
We will do, Bogdan. I personally can vouch that I will do all I can. One more question for Tanya before we go. Tanya, you did say about you might have plans to travel again. Would you like to sort of let us know what they were, or what you were thinking?
I don't have plans, but I don't exclude such a possibility, because sitting in a bunker, it's just, I'm a person like that. I need to move around, and if I have possibility to move, if I'm needed somewhere else, I don't know. We'll see. I just don't exclude the possibility of having another journey. Okay. But as of now, I'm here.
We will leave. Maybe we will move to next region, to Kyivsky Oblast, next region to our capital, because there is no way to hide from it. When you are in Ukraine, maybe it's more silent in some city, but the war is going on only in Ukraine, not in only Kyiv, on the west, on the east border. It's all around the Ukraine. So anyway, we will resist. Wherever we be, we will resist till the last Ukrainian who can resist will be killed.
Yeah, that's Bogdan.
He's a legend. You're all legends.
Anyways, come to Ukraine after victory. We will make borscht and feed you some stuff.
Yay.
Borscht is so nice. I remember walking down the main street, where in the political district. It's a really wide street. It's about 4 or 5 lanes. And this would never happen in England. They'd never do this. But the way that they pedestrianised, they closed the road. So people were all walking around this massive road, skateboarding, biking, families. Yeah, you know what? I'll come to the theatre. We'll come to the theatre. We'll watch a show. You can show us around all the places in Kyiv that, we didn't know about, because there must be loads of cool stuff. And then you guys are going to come here to Cambridge as well, okay?
Yeah, and you're taking me to a pub and paying for my beer.
You know what? I'll take you to a pub called the Eagle in Cambridge.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Bogdan. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
And see you in a few weeks. Let's keep in touch on WhatsApp.
Oh, thanks, guys. I'll see you later then. You can follow Pro English Theatre on Instagram by searching for pro_English_theatre. We'll also leave their Instagram links below in the show notes. You'll also find a link to their Patreon if you want to donate them a small amount of money per month just to help them along. We're going to resume our normal schedule now on the Real Normal podcast, but rest assured I will keep in contact with Tanya, Alex and Bogdan via WhatsApp, so you'll get regular updates on our Twitter and also within our next podcasts. Plus, with everything that's going on permitting, I will arrange for another chat with the guys in a few weeks' time. We won't forget them. I hope you don't too. See you in the next podcast.